Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. President or former President Barack Obama, I think, is one of the few leaders whose wisdom has touched many people during his time in the White House and has continued to do that even after he left office. In this video clip, he's once again reminding us all what we should aspire to. And I'll just play a short clip of it and comment on it.
You know, every so often we find ourselves at a crossroads, not just as individuals, but as a nation. A moment when silence is not an option. A moment when pretending not to notice the damage being done feels like complicity. And friends, I've never been one to shy away from the hard truths. Because truth matters. Character matters. And leadership, real leadership, isn't about noise or bluster or shouting the loudest. It's about lifting people up, not tearing them down. Now, I understand we're living in challenging times. There's uncertainty. There's anger. People are frustrated. They're scared. And it's easy to fall for the kind of leadership that preys on fear instead of offering hope. But that's not who we are. That's not who we've ever been. America has never moved forward by blaming someone else when things got hard. We didn't rise to greatness by pointing fingers. We did it by rolling up our sleeves, coming together, and getting to work. Let me be clear. Leadership is not entertainment. It's not about getting likes or trending on social media. It's about doing the hard work even when nobody's watching. It's about telling people the truth even when it's uncomfortable. It's about respecting institutions, not tearing them down for personal gain. And yes, it's about understanding that your words carry weight, that what you say can start wars or inspire peace, create division or build unity. When someone in power uses their platform to divide us, to pit us against each other, to suggest that our neighbors are our enemies, they betray the very foundation of what this democracy is built upon. Because the job isn't to make people afraid of each other. The job is to remind them that we're all in this together, that we share more in common than what separates us. And I know it's tempting to want to fight fire with fire, to stoop to the level of those who demean, who distort, who deceive. But I still believe that decency is not a weakness, that empathy is not a flaw, that the quiet courage to do the right thing, even when it's hard, will always outlast the empty rhetoric of division. We've seen what happens when people choose chaos over community, when ego is placed above service. We've seen it, and we cannot afford to look away anymore. We owe it to our children, to that next generation, watching, waiting, wondering what kind of country they're going to inherit, to speak up, to stand tall, to remind ourselves what this fight is really about. It's not about partisanship. It's not about politics. It's about principle. It's about the soul of this nation. It's about whether we choose hope over fear, unity over division, truth over lies. And I still believe deep in my bones that the American people are better than the chaos we've witnessed, that we're stronger than the cynicism, that our story is not finished, and that we together can still write a chapter worthy of our highest ideals.
I'll stop there. Ben, what do you think?
Good day to you and good day to our viewers. Thank you for joining us. Wow, it's very, very powerful speech. And within this speech, you can You may not be American, but you can use it to describe where and which direction your own people have taken or your own country has taken. And, you know, we as Zimbabweans, I really don't know where we should put ourselves. Are we at a crossroad or we have taken the wrong, the wrong direction? It's one of those challenges and one of those crucial questions that we should be asking ourselves, because we are finding ourselves, we are stuck, and our choices have not been the right choices. We haven't been choosing the right path, so we are either stuck or we are going in the opposite direction. And he goes on to talk about frustration. I understand people are frustrated, and within frustration people make very bad decisions or harsh decisions, rash decisions. This is where we are being tested of our character. What does it say about us as a people? I think this is what Barack Obama is trying to say. Well, that is for me. What do you do as a people to find your way forward? Test of character. And I must say, as Zimbabweans, for 45 years, we have been going on a downhill. Everything is not going right for us economically, politically, socially. Everything is just deteriorating. This is the time where we are supposed to now, you know, make stop for a while, think through our decisions, you know, and make the right choices.
Well, I think the most important, or the first message rather, I get from that video was he is addressing some of the problems that America is facing today. He's not shying away from addressing them. I think America, ever since President Donald Trump was elected, has been a boiling pot. There cannot be any denying that President Trump has been a very divisive president. Some of the issues he is raising here are issues that have been raised because of President Trump. And I salute him for taking on the challenge and saying, no, this is not right. This is not the America that we have valued all our lives. Because somebody has got to say it. And I salute him for saying it. Many other people would shy away. He did not. Because I think what President Trump has done to America is something that most people have got to admit has not done any favors to that country. America has been respected, and rightly so too. But some of those values, the truth, and not to go for the cheap publicity, has been compromised badly in the last few months. And I think his word of advice to America itself, to the American people, many of them should take it very seriously because it takes generations to build a reputation, but it can take just a few weeks to destroy it. I think the people of America should wake up to that reality. And of course, we in the third world have counted on countries like America to show the lead of what good leaders should be. And what President Trump has done so far is emboldened some of our worst leaders to, to be reckless, if not worse. And therefore, for that reason, I thank President Barack Obama for what he stood up for and what he's standing up for now.
You know, one other thing he says there is leadership is not about popularity. It's making the correct call at the right time, making those decisions that are unpopular but are right. You know, but at the end of the day, you must also realize that, you know, democracy is about people making a choice. And that choice then becomes leadership. And, you know, they go on to lead the people and so forth. For example, Americans made a choice and they found that Donald Trump was for them. And now they have to live through it. And the rest of the world, because America is the big brother of the world after all, we have to make do with that choice. This is where we find that democracy needs a people that are well educated in terms of why they're making the choice. You know, who is the choice? You know, there has to be, you know, a bit of knowledge and you know, traits that you're looking for in leadership, not because one is simply just popular and I'm going to vote for them, or because, you know, they give us food or chicken and chips, I'm going to make that call. You know, that's not how democracy works. And then at the end of the day, for example, Zimbabwe is stuck with this ZANU PF dictatorship because of the choices that we made. We cannot then go and blame other people for these, you know, this choice that we are living. It is all on us. And we as a people have to now look for that knowledge, because knowledge is power. And with that knowledge comes us figuring out a way how to come out of this mess. So at the end of the day, you know, every country has a leadership that they deserve due to our choices and how informed our public is. That's how I look at it.
Yes, I think the people of Zimbabwe in this particular instance I've got to look back at Zimbabwe. Where are we going as a country? I say that the election of President Trump has changed things so much, have steered up things so much. He was only sworn in January, and so he's hardly 6 months old. And yet, the world has changed so much. And I have to say, it doesn't look like it's changed for the better, at least for us in the third world countries. What is important here, therefore, is for the Zimbabweans to realize that yes, we've wasted the last 45 years. We should have been building a better Zimbabwe for ourselves. Zimbabwe, like I've said before on this platform, is a failed state. And being a failed state in this point in time in human history is a very difficult position to be in. The number of wars that are taking place and the human tragedy in suffering that is going out there is unreal. And I think most countries are now looking inward more than ever before. If there was to be a drought in Zimbabwe, we are in serious trouble. We are already in serious trouble, even without a drought. Because the country is a failed state, unemployment is at all-time high. Therefore, then many people are living from hand to mouth. When you get even some of your well-educated people, university lecturers, being paid pathetic wages, you have to ask yourself, what more of those lower down the scale? University lecturers are being paid $250 in a country where the council rates in big cities like Harare is as much as $200 a month. That is how bad things are. So if the university lecturer is living from hand to mouth, what more of his gardener or the civil servant with very little qualifications? When you are so lowly paid, you only have to have one problem and you're in serious trouble. If a member of the family or yourself should fall ill, you find yourself in a situation where you already worry about what are we going to eat tonight. And the root cause for our problem is our failure to hold free, fair, and credible elections, and thus to end the case of rigged elections and bad governance. The need to end this case is more urgent now than ever before. The people of Zimbabwe cannot afford to have 2028 elections another rigged electoral process. And yet, all the signs are we are heading that way. That is tragic.
I must say, I totally agree with you to say, Zimbabwe cannot, I really cannot see us going through another term of ZANU PF. The rate at which they are going about their business is just really unsustainable. I mean, I'll give you an example of how even the mining is being conducted. You cannot see, you know, what is beneficial, but you can see a lot of destruction of trees, properties, people getting moved away, graves are now getting dug. It's just not sustainable. We can talk about this generation, our generation. What about the generation that is to come? What about our children's children? The amount of looting, it's scandal after scandal. We are now in embarrassment, such that even Hollywood movies say Zimbabwe, you can go and commit a crime, just pay whoever it needs to be paid, and you'll be out of jail. You can carry weapons, you can carry anything as long as you pay, you'll be out of it. That's a Hollywood movie, and the whole world waits for those bastards. You know, our name is in the mud, has been dragged through the mud. But the only hope, and the only hope to get us out of this mess, is us ourselves. We have to take the initiative and want this change. Like what the former president Barack Obama says, it's about making the unpopular choice, but which is the right choice. Principles. If we are going to say we want to change, we need to reform a bad system, we have to stick to it. And this is why I say no reforms, no elections, period. It's not questionable. There's no negotiation. We stick by it. Thank you.
My last word will be if you have got the listeners, if you have got time, I think this message from former President Barack Obama is worth listening to. You can find it on the YouTube address that is what I'm showing you there. But you can also Google for yourself. The full title is at the bottom there, as you can see there. Gloves off, Obama, etc., etc. The title, if you Google that title, you should be able to get that video. I think it is one worth listening to. He says a lot of things that are very true of our own leaders, telling lies. We should be very familiar with that. How many times have our leaders conned us, telling us idiotic lies in some cases, just to get us to do something that is, at the very least, foolish. I seriously hope that some of you out there will be able to spend some time and really listen to that video clip carefully and take what lessons you can from it. Thank you very much. Ben, do you want to give your closing remarks?
So, in closing, I think we have touched on what needs to be done. Leaders are chosen by us at the end of the day, and we are stuck with our choices. And for Zimbabwe, we have been making very, very bad choices. And we have an opportunity to reset and to fix our mess. It's not too late, but it's going to be too late. We need to stop this business of saying we will participate in rigged elections and come up with funny, ridiculous strategies that do not work. 45 years of trying the same strategies has shown that it's not working. And it's only fools that continue doing the same thing over and over again. And again, I say, if there is not going to be any reforms, there should be no elections. And we should stand by that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ben. And for those who were able to join us tonight, thank you very much. I hope you'll be able to do it again tomorrow. Same time, 7 o'clock UK time, 8 o'clock Zimbabwean time. Have a good night.